Yo, for those of you that watch the Proud Family, tell me the mom wasn't sexy. You can't say that mom was not sexy, bro. Yo, she was so hot. I love the mom. What was her name? Trudy? Judy? Trudy. One of the hottest Disney moms of all time. Next to Kim Possible's mom. Elastigirl?
Oh my god!
She had the biggest ass. she had quite the dumpy. Pocahontas? I don't know. No. How even old was Pocahontas? Pocahontas was not 14. What? Pocahontas Disney movie age. 15 Disney character ages that will change the way you view films. Pocahontas, 12 and 21 years old. Off. She was not 12 in the movie. She was not 12! Off. Peter Pan. Huh? Peter is 12 years old? Alice was not 7 years old. I'm not looking at this anymore. I'm done. Cope? No, you cope. You cope. Me? Cope? Guys, this is the VTuber Raylis did a video called The Canon VShojo Mythos Timeline. And I have to say, his analysis is pretty good.
All right, let's do this. I had to ask the question,
in
what order these
glasses!
I've devoted the most recent section of my life to recreating the timeline
Look
of
what
the
he
VShojo
did.
mythos. In the VShojo mythos, there's a creator, someone who made all life, gave it free will, and then promptly fell asleep. Around the same time, Azathoth, the Azathoth who needs stable.
Holy sh! Is that what Azathoth looks like? Oh my god, he's like a freaking space.
Why would you say that?
Ugh, that's terrifying.
Given how things are phrased in the origin story, it seems like Azathoth and the creator were active around the same time, and then both fell asleep. We aren't certain if they are the same being, though that's the belief I personally subscribe to.
Oh, he believes that Azathoth and the creator are one and the same.
After an undisclosed amount of time, Nyanners is both created and sent out to light the beacon of chaos to wake up Azathoth, because yes, Nyanners is an eldritch being. It's likely around this time that Ironmouse, or Satanael, as she's called in her angel form, leads a rebellion up in heaven because she was bored and wants to see the creator.
Listen, you can't just say because she was bored, okay? It was more complicated than that. I don't do things just because I'm bored. Or do I?
Ultimately, she was successful, but upon seeing the creator, got kicked down to hell and had her memory of that day taken from her, alongside thousands of other angels, including Booby. Ironmouse was also sealed in a box that robbed her of her senses as punishment, and I want to mention that Nazuna was in heaven during this rebellion, but didn't fall down to earth until much later.
It's because she's pure of heart, she's not evil like me. She's not evil like me.
Booby was rather dissatisfied with his new life down in hell, so he decided to conquer it, except Limbo. He ended up relying on an ancient prophecy to find more power, which resulted in him breaking Ironmouse out of her prison and finally succeed in conquering all of hell. While this rebellion and subsequent conquering of hell was going on, Nyanners had been wandering around space, meeting up with Goro, and eventually arriving at Earth sometime around the Empire of Babylon, and met Ironmouse in the interim, who tried to be her friend.
Why wouldn't I want to be friends with a cool eldritch being? Of course I would. Of course I would.
We know this was after her escape from the box and likely after the conquering of hell, as she did rule it for a time before once again growing bored and beginning to explore Earth and its humans. Nyanners continuing to drain humans of their sanity until she was confronted by Vebe and Haruka. She ended up losing that fight and getting sealed away, but as a last-ditch FU, she cursed Vebe, turning into her succubus, sealing her memories and beginning a 2,000-year-long slumber, no determined age, origin, or any other indicators of where they are in the timeline, which leads me to believe they've been around since the creation of Earth and have been in a
all pretty
perpetual
old
cycle. We're
memes.
gonna mention Apricot as well, since she was a half-dragon and became a lich, which to me means she's less time than Vebe.
That's true. She was dragonborn.
We then get a little bit of a time skip as other members of VShojo are either born or arrive on Earth. Ironmouse had been visiting Earth for quite some time, so we're not sure when she moved here full-time, but we do know that Keisan, being the only normal human of VShojo,
That's true! Keisan is the only human. But you know what? Her being a human makes her the strongest out of all of us, because that she's so strong that she can hang out with all of us and we're all supernatural creatures. That makes her like a gajillion times cooler.
It's also around this time that Project Melody is created and contracts a virus, leading to the creation of malware. Let's put a pin in that. Not too long after that, Hime arrives, having left her planet and come to ours after receiving a transmission about anime and then being introduced to other anime by Project Melody. And now, with most of the players in place, Company is formed with the following members: Ironmouse, Apricot, Nyanners, Hime, Silvervale, and Project Melody. Sadly, I don't believe that Dragonform Zentreya exists in this timeline outside of...
Dragonform Zen is complicated because she did exist. It's just she disappeared once this Zen showed up. She said she absorbed the previous memories of all the other Zens, I think.
Important point in the entire timeline of VShojo, the Vils concert put on by Ironmouse, Silvervale, and Nyanners. The curse placed upon Bebe began failing just before the Vils concert because Nyanners was now awake. Eventually, she was able to get her powers back after having a tearful reunion with Silvervale. Booby arrived on Earth during the Vils concert, having grown lonely without Ironmouse, and followed her here under the guise he wanted his power back.
I'm glad he caught that because it's like, he already had his powers, and he's talking about, I want my powers back. It's like, you already have your powers. What are you doing here? Explode!
Arrives. Short time later, Zentreya arrives, canonically after the Nyanners milking stream. Zentreya immediately threatens to kill Melody, but doesn't because Melody doesn't seem to know who or what malware is. Put a pin in that. A short time later, malware hacks and takes over VShojo, but was able to be contained and now seems to be a rather passive player in our universe. And finally, Kei-san is enjoying life and almost runs over Nizuna with her motorcycle. Both of them join VShojo a short time later. Finally, Project Melody becomes a driver for the VShojo Motorsports team before malware from another universe arrives, taking control of her body along with another version of Ironmouse who's planning to take over Hell because our Ironmouse abandoned it. Also, there's Corpse Husband.
Stop talking about me abandoning things, okay? I'm doing my thing. Don't get on my back.
Also, there's Corpse Husband, who is a void demon also trying to take over Hell. Is that all clear as mud?
No.
Great, because now we get to talk about the Zentreya timeline, which will add some much needed clarity. To start off with, we need to return to malware. In the far future, this glitch eventually takes over and seemingly destroys Melody. In Zentreya's universe, malware is the supervillain. She's managed to kill nearly all the members of VShojo, as well as the entire human race. Apricot is still around though. In a last-ditch effort to save humanity, Zentreya and the professor steal time travel data and send Zentreya back in time. This is also the reason why Zentreya threatened to kill Melody upon arriving in our time among VShojo.
I admit, the VShojo timeline is starting to make the Fate timeline make... Listen, it's not my fault that you don't have the mental capacity to keep up. I'm just kidding. I can't keep up with that either.
Numbers.
No one does!
But back in the Zen timeline, it turns out that killing all the machines made malware bored, so she tried to invade Hell, which backfired, but did reintroduce her to the Ironmouse of this universe. They ended up making some sort of deal, which led to the Zentreya timeline malware taking over our timeline Melody's body, locking her in her own mind, strangely enough, with our version of malware. That's right, there's two of them now. Also, Zentreya timeline Ironmouse showed up, and she didn't come alone. So canonically, we're looking at least 4 different versions of Ironmouse all hanging out in our universe. There you go, the entire VShojo timelines in all their glory, up to the Race Queen Mel lore video.
Thanks for this amazing video. Will all this be on the test? Yes, you're gonna get tested, and if you don't pass, I'm gonna kick your ass.